everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be making the Japanese Cherry Blossom Bolster Pillow. I know that's a mouthful and she is just as girthy as the title is. She came out a little bigger than I expected, but she is still boisterous and beautiful and we love her. This is an intermediate pattern. It's worked in 3 separate parts. You have to be comfortable with color changing. If you're not quite comfortable just yet, I do have a few tutorials on my YouTube channel that you can reference before working through this pattern with me. This took me, and that's just because I work patterns besides this one, so I want to say it took me about a week and a half total to do. Because the main body of the pillow is 95 stitches across and 75 rows, so it is quite a large pattern. So be prepared to spend a little bit of time on this pillow, maybe come back to it, work some smaller patterns in the meantime, but I promise you once it's completely finished, it is so worth it and so beautiful, and it would make a wonderful addition to your home decor. And with that being said, before I go on and talk, because that is one of my vices, I cannot shut up. I don't know why, I'm working on it. But let's go ahead and get into the pattern. Alright, so before we begin, let's go over all the materials you're going to need to complete this pattern. First and foremost, you're either going to need the chart for this pattern or the written instructions for this pattern. The chart I have available for free on my blog. And I also have a printable chart and PDF file with the written pattern available in my Etsy shop. So it's totally up to you which one you would like to use. All right, next is going to be obviously your crocheting essentials. You're going to need a pair of scissors or thread snippers and a 4.5mm crochet hook. Mine is on its last leg, but if you are a seasoned crocheter, you know you have that one that you have to use all the time and you refuse to get rid of it. This is the one for me. And you're also going to need some kind of yarn needle or darning needle to weave in those ends and also seam up the pillow when we're done. And last but definitely not least, you are going to need your yarn for this pattern. All of the colors that I used and the yardage will be listed in the description box below and also in the written pattern that's available at my Etsy shop. But for a general overview, you're going to need a dark brown yarn for the branching of this pattern. You're going to need some kind of white or cream color for the background, green for the leaves, and then 3 colors for the cherry blossom flowers. You'll need a darker color for the inside, slightly darker color for the outside, and a slightly pink color for the inside. You do not need to use the same colors as me. Please feel free to use your creative freedom and go with whatever your vibe is. But there is one more item that you're going to need, and that is some kind of filling to fill the pillow. You're more than welcome to use polyfill, even though it is sometimes a little bit expensive depending on where you get it, if we get it on sale. But you can also use grocery bags that you've kept collected. You can use stuffing from other projects. Feel free to see if you can find a pillow form that fits with this pillow. Again, all of this, the dimensions, the gauge, everything is going to be on my blog, as well as the free pattern. But if you want a detailed comprehension of everything, again, that printable version of that pattern is in my Etsy shop. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the pattern. And before we get started making that foundation chain, I do want to go do a brief overview of how to read the chart, because this is what we're going to be using for reference when working through the pattern for this video. If for those of you who have never used a chart before, this may be a little bit confusing. There are tons of more in-depth videos and tutorials on how to read crochet charts or pixel charts. So please, if you need to, feel free to save this video under watch later, subscribe to the channel, and then come back whenever you feel more confident in reading charts. But for those of you who already have a brief understanding, let's go ahead and do a refresher on how to read a chart. to begin, depending on if you're left-handed or right-handed, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to go ahead and describe how to read a chart right-handed. But it is going to be, you're going to read the chart from right to left and left to right as you work through the rows. So for the foundation row, we are going to be working from right to left. So we'll begin with these 3 brown stitches and work our way through the white stitches. And then once we get to the end of the first row, we are going to chain 1 turn and then work backwards like you're reading a book for that second row, third row, fourth row, fifth row. So it is pretty self-explanatory. You're going to be chaining and turning after each row. And to make it a little bit more easier, for this pattern specifically, all the right side rows are going to be odd rows, and all the wrong side rows are going to be even rows. So again, when you're working odd rows, you're going to be working from right to left. Even rows, you're going to be working from left to right. I hope I explained that well enough. At some point, I'm going to do more in-depth tutorial on how to read the chart. I do have a tutorial on how to make the chart, but I completely forgot and didn't even think of making a video on how to read a chart. And before I go on, because I am a yapper, I just want to briefly show you, see if I can zoom you guys in here. I already did a little bit of the grunt work off camera, but if you can see these numbers next to each of the elements in this chart, I kind of wanted to make it a little easier on myself. So I put the number of stitches for each row next to each of the elements. So here, for example, there's 37 single crochet in white in this segment here, and then I didn't count the flowers yet because they're a small number and easy to count. And then if you follow along, there are 9 white single crochet from this flower to the leaf, and just to make it a little bit easier for myself, especially when it comes to writing the pattern, it definitely makes it a lot easier, and I thank myself a lot later. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to explain. I don't think so. I think it's best if we just get started, or I'm just going to sit here and talk. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So because these colors start on row 1, we're going to be working our first color changes in the foundation chain. Now for me personally, I really don't want to do this because a dark brown yarn is a little bit harsh against the cream color, but I really don't see another option here. We're going to do our foundation chain in this brown color because that first color change is going to be in this brown color, and it's just going to make it even more difficult to change to this brown color right after crocheting a foundation chain. If you're going to switch from the cream to the brown, just, you know, for aesthetic's sake. But because the pillow is going to be seamed along this line, I'm not too worried about it. I'm kind of it's not a right now problem, it's a later problem. So if we run into that problem later on down the line, I will kind of work it out off camera and then come back to you with the solution. But because, like I said, we are starting this color change in the foundation chain because it's in the first row, we're going to go ahead and do our foundation chain in this brown color. So we're going to do a slip knot, and then I'm going to use my head to kind of grease up my crochet hook, or I'm going to be squeaking the entire time. All right, so there are, if you can, can't even, this chart is so big I can't even fit the whole thing on camera. All right, so this pattern is going to be 95 stitches across, and I totally forgot to mention it because I'm trying not to talk a bunch, but this whole pillow is going to be worked in single crochet. I probably should have said that straight from the get-go. But if you're following along on the blog or through the written pattern, you know this already, so thank you. But for those of you who are just following the video, it is going to be completely worked in single crochet. All right, since there are 95 stitches across for the width of this pillow, we're going to be chaining 96. So we'll do 1, 2, 3. Okay. So to begin this pattern, we're going to start with 3 single crochet in this brown color, and we're going to be working directly into the foundation chain. Now for me, if you watched a few of my videos on my channel before, you know that I don't really like to work into the foundation chain like this. You know what? I'm going to zoom you guys in so you can see. Boop. I don't really like to work the foundation chain like this. I like to work in the back hump because, of course, I'm going to make it harder for myself because it's me we're talking about and I know me. So if you prefer to work in this loop here, please feel free to do so. Do whatever makes you comfortable, but I'm going to stick to the status quo of my ridiculousness, and I'm going to work in this back hump here. So we're going to be working 3 single crochet in this brown color. 1, 2, and 3. All right, and for this color change, I'm not going to do an incomplete single crochet. I'm going to bring in this cream color that we're going to be working with next. And I am going to tie it on. If you are familiar with me and how I do color changes, then you know I am a weirdo and I use the cut and tie color changing method for most of my projects. This is just the way that works best for me. Please feel free to use any color changing technique that you like. I have color changing technique tutorials on all of the color changes that are known to the crochet world. So if you need a little bit of time to choose and determine what color changing method works best for you, please, again, stop this video, save me, and then come back when you're ready. But I'm going to be using the cut and tie method for this pillow. All right, so now that we've completed the 3 single crochet in brown, we are going to do 92 single crochet in this cream color. So again, working in this back hump, I'm going to do 92. It's difficult. All right. So this is what you should have so far. Should have, keep dropping it. 3 single crochet in this brown and 92 single crochet in this cream color. All right, and now it's time to move on to row 2. So again, we worked from right to left, and now we're going to chain 1, turn, and work from left to right. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. All right, for row 2, we're going to be doing 89 single crochet in cream. So do that. 89. All right, and that 89th stitch, we're going to leave uncompleted. And again, please feel free to use any color changing method you would like. I am making it easier for myself and using the technique that works best for me. So I'm going to tie that on, and then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet in this brown. 2, 3, and 5. And this last stitch is going to be that cream color. There. Ta-da. Right, and just to show you how I pull these ties to the other side, if you're thinking about using the same technique as me, on each of the even rows or the wrong rows, you're going to have to pull your ties from the right side to the wrong side. So you're just going to slip your hook onto the right side of that where you made that color change and pull it through. And because this is a pillow and the wrong side is going to be on the inside of the pillow, I'm really not worried about what the back side is going to look like. These are going to be trimmed anyways, really short and tightened in the front. So this is what it should look like so far, 2 rows in. And I'm going to go ahead and do one more row with you guys just to make sure that how this pillow is worked is nice and explained to you all before I let you fly and finish this pillow on your own. So for row 3, we're going to chain 1, turn. Row 3, we're going to, again, odd rows are going to be working from right to left of the chart. So row 3, we're going to do 2 single crochet in this cream color. 1, 2, snip that off. Tie on this brown shade. Let's see how many, I gotta count how many browns we have. So we have 2 cream and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Snip that off. Tie this cream color back on. Alright, and then to finish this row, we've got 51. Actually, no. It's not going to be the finished row. We're going to have a flower coming up. So it's going to be 51 in the cream shade, and then we're going to work on some pink, which I'm super excited about. 51. The 51st stitch is going to be an uncompleted single crochet, and then we're going to change to this pretty pink color that I'm super excited about. I love adding bright colors to projects. When you start off with those neutrals, it gives the project a little bit more life. All right, and then we're going to be working 2 stitches in this pink shade. So we'll do 1. That second stitch isn't going to be complete because we're going to change back to the cream. Tie that on. Complete that single crochet, and then we are going to finish the rest of the row with 33 single crochet in this cream color. All right, and this is what you should have for row 3. Super excited about these colors so far, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the whole thing looks like. But now that we have kind of gone over how the pattern is worked, I am going to leave you to finish up the chart. So you're going to be working rows 4 through 75, and please remember to follow the chart. Again, I have a free version of this chart available on my blog, and a chart and written printable version of the written pattern and the chart available in my Etsy shop. So it's totally up to you which one you would like to follow along. If you have any questions in the meantime while you're working on this, please feel free to DM me on Instagram. That is the best way to get a hold of me. My Instagram handle is at loveandstitch with 2 H's. And please feel free to comment on this video as well. If you're having a little bit of issues color changing, I'd be very happy to help you out. So I am going to finish this entire chart. I am so excited. And then we're going to come back and work on how to, we're going to work on the end pieces, because we're going to have 2 ends to this pattern, because it's going to be, see, this is why I like printing my charts out, because you can get a good view of what it looks like. So it's going to be like an oblong shape. So we're going to need 2 end pieces. So we'll work on those when we get back. But in the meantime, go ahead and finish up the chart. It is going to take a while. It's a pretty big project. So please come and go as you please. Weekend projects, you know, whatever. Work at whatever piece that you'd like. Again, please message me if you have any questions. I will probably have different nails by the time we come back, because I have no idea how long this is going to take me, because I am a juggling a million projects kind of girl. So we will see how long this takes me. But again, have any questions, let me know, and I will see you guys when the chart's done. Okay, it's been a while, but I am finally done with the main panel of the Japanese Cherry Blossom Pillow. It is so big, I can't even fit it into the entire frame, but it is all done. Again, it took a really long time, but it's going to be so worth it when it's done. But now that the main body is done, we need to work on the 2 sides of the pillow to enclose it and give it its circular tubular shape. So we're going to go ahead and make the end pieces before we start to attach both sides of the pillow to create that cylindrical shape. So we're going to go ahead and make these end pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my materials, and I'll be right back. Okay, so to make the end pieces, all you're going to need is some yarn. I'm going to go ahead and use this cream color Aran yarn. Please feel free to use any color yarn that you would like to match the vibe of your pillow. You're also going to need a 4.5mm crochet hook and a pair of scissors. I have my instructions for these end pieces on the side here, but I'm gonna go ahead and work the first couple of rounds with you, and then I'm gonna leave the instructions on the screen so you can go ahead and pause it and work at your own pace. Just to make things a little bit easier and to not make this video an hour long. Honestly, I'm not even sure how long this video is gonna be, but anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So to start, we're going to start with either a magic ring or a chain 4. I can, for the life of me, cannot do magic rings. I don't know what is wrong with me. So I always do a chain 4 to create that initial loop. 2, 3, 4 to work into, because we are going to be working in the round. And then we're just going to join with that first chain with a slip stitch, and there we go. We have our little hole here. Now I'm going to go ahead and chain 1 and work 6 single crochet into the center of this loop. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to pull this tail to tighten the round. There we go. And this part is totally up to you. It'll look pretty much the same or have the same effect regardless on if you chain and slip stitch to your first stitch or not. If you are going to be doing a joined round, it's going to be easier to see where the end of your round is because you're going to be slip stitching and chaining 1 for each round. If you're going to be doing continuous rounds like I am, you are going to have to use a stitch marker to mark where that first or last stitch is, depending on what your preference is, just so you don't lose your place. You can always count your stitches also if that is something that you choose to do to maintain consistency. But again, I'm just going to be using a stitch marker and doing continuous rounds just to make this a little bit easier. All right, so for that first round, we did 6 single crochet. For the second round, we're going to be doing increases in each stitch. So 2 single crochets in each of these 6 single crochets. So you should have 12 stitches at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1 single crochet into this first stitch here, and then place my stitch marker so I know where that first stitch of the round is. Place another single crochet in that first stitch, and then working 2 single crochet in each stitch. All right, coming up on the last 2 single crochet here, and again you should have 12 single crochets for this round. And then we're going to work one more round together. And again, I'm going to go ahead and leave the rest of the instructions on the screen for you. You can go ahead and pause this screen and follow along at your own pace. All right, for the round 3, we're going to be placing an increase in this first single crochet here. So we're going to do 1, and then add my stitch marker, 2. And then in this next stitch, we're just going to do 1 single crochet. The following stitch is going to be 2 single crochet, increase, and then the following stitch is going to be 1 single crochet here. And you're going to repeat that pattern all the way around, ending in 1 single crochet in this last stitch, and you should have 18 stitches at the end of this round. Increase and single crochet. Again, you should have 18 stitches for round 3. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here to finish up the second circular panel for the end. Again, the instructions will be on the screen for you there. And as soon as I'm done, we're going to come back and start seaming the pillow. Okay, now that we have all the panels finished, both of the ends and the main panel, it's time to start seaming them together. I'm going to seam up the main body of the pillow first, and then we'll add the end pieces one by one, the first one, and then we'll stuff it and we'll add the second one. So we will go over all of that. Also, I don't know how this happened or if you can pick it up on camera, but these are two different colors and I have no idea how that happened. This is the same yarn in the same color, but they're obviously not the same, and I am so annoyed because I cannot find any yarn that matches this, and I'm just flabbergasted. I have no idea how that happened. So that's going to annoy the hell out of me the whole time, but I have no time to redo this and find the right color, so we're just going to roll with it no matter what it looks like, even though it irks me so much. We're going to move on. So what you're going to need to seam up this pillow is, for right now, just a scissor and yarn needle, and then once we add one of the ends, then we'll start to fill it with polyfill or any kind of pillow filling that you can find. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my space, and I'll be right back. Okay, let's go ahead and seam up the main body of the pillow. We are going to be folding it hamburger wise. Is that how they do it? Hamburger, hot dog? Is that how they do it? Anyways, we're going to fold it this way, not long ways. So we're going to fold it this way and make sure that the ends of our pillow match. So we'll match up these two here. And then this is just going to be the bottom. This is going to be the top, so they're not going to line up because they're kind of the end of the branches here. But we're going to make sure these are all lined up. Then we're going to take this tail that we fastened off with, and we're going to thread our yarn needle again. Actually, I don't think I explained this yet. You are more than welcome to use any method you prefer to seam up the pillow. I prefer to just use a yarn needle and the tail that I fastened off with. It just gives it a nice clean appearance. It makes it a little less bulky. But you are more than welcome to either slip stitch or single crochet across. All you need to do is pass your hook through both sides, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then just pass the hook through each one of the sides, yarn over, slip stitch, or yarn over, single crochet all the way down until you reach the end. But again, for me, I'm just going to go ahead and weave it using a yarn needle and my tail. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so again, we're going to make sure everything is nice and lined up, and it can shift as you move along the sides, so make sure you're periodically checking to make sure that everything is still lined up. But I am going to pass the yarn needle through this top stitch here, and then pass it through the top stitch on the other panel. And then pull it tight. And then from here on out, I'm just going to, every few millimeters or centimeters, pass the yarn needle through both sides of the panels and just pull to tighten. And you want to make sure that these loops are relatively close together, just so your pillow doesn't come apart when you use it and none of the filling that you're going to use is going to start to leak out of it. So they don't need to be extremely close together, but close enough, again, just to make sure there's no leakage. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this all the way down to the end. Again, making sure that everything is still lined up as we go. And then once we reach the end, we're just going to fasten off and weave in our ends. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm all done seaming up the side of the bag. And now I'm going to go ahead and seam one of the side panels on. And instead of fastening off, I actually realized that I have a long enough tail to go ahead and use to attach this side panel. If not, you can always just attach a tail to it. You just tie it on and then weave in the ends once you're done. But because I have this such a long tail, I'm going to go ahead and use that to begin seaming the side panel onto one of the sides. And I'm just choosing this dark brown side And you see how I still have this tail here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the tail from the last round of one of my side pieces, and I'm just going to line it up with the tail left over from weaving in the side panel. And this will be exactly the same even if you have to add a tail to either the side panel or the main panel or the side panel when it comes to connecting the two. I don't know what I'm saying, so I'm just going to do instead of say. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your tail, depending on which tail end or which piece you have your tail on, and I'm just going to pass this through the exact same stitch that this tail on the side panel is coming out from, and just securing that in place. And because I think there's a 1 stitch difference between the main panel and the side panel. I think the side panel is either 95 or 96 stitches and the main panel is the same, so there might be 1 stitch off, which is totally fine. But what you're going to do from here is just line up the stitches from the side and main panel. So we'll go here into this stitch and then pick up this stitch from the side panel and just weave it together and pull it tight. And then we're going to repeat that. We're just going to pick up another stitch from the main panel, if I can get both through both, there we go, and a stitch from the side panel. And pull it tight. And also, before you do this, I did want to make sure that mention that you want the wrong side facing outward or towards you, and the right side facing inward towards the right side of the side panel. We're going to be working the right side once we flip it inside out and start to fill it, but for the first connection of the side and main panels, you do want to make sure that the wrong side is facing outwards towards you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and keep trucking along. Just going through these stitches here, making sure they line up. And then you're going to repeat this for each stitch around the side panel or both panels. Again, I think there's a 1 stitch difference, so you might have to go through 1 stitch 2 times, which is not a big deal. And once you reach the end, we are going to fasten off and weave in our ends. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that off, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm all done seaming the side panel onto the main panels. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fasten off. And because I have this tail and this is the inside of the pillow, I'm just going to go ahead and double knot these 2 tails here and just trim it just to make life easier, because I can't bear to weave anything else in as of this moment. And now we're going to go ahead and flip the pillow inside out, and you can start to see the shape of the pillow. So this is the side seam that we did. You can see that the branches line up nicely, and this is the side panel. I actually kind of like this brown outline. I might try to recreate it on the other side. I'm not sure. But again, I'm really not too worried about it because it is the end of the pillow, and I actually do kind of like how it looks. But now we are going to start to stuff the pillow. And you can use anything that you have lying around. I managed to tear up an old nasty pillow and just kind of pull the stuffing out. And I did have some leftover polyfill from a project years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and start stuffing it. And you want to stuff it as far as you can go to the top. And then once you get there, we're going to go ahead and start to seam the top. But we're going to do it about halfway and then stuff it and then kind of go around to make sure it's nice and full while we're seaming it up. So I'm going to go ahead and see how full I can get this pillow. I might have to tear up another yucky pillow. I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you guys back here. Okay, so she's a little girthier than I planned, but it's okay. She's still beautiful. We're still working through it. You can see that I've stuffed her pretty good, but the end is still kind of flappy and it needs some more stuffing. So I went ahead and started to seam up the top there, if you can see, and I left a hole large enough for me to stuff it the rest of the way. But I swear, stuffing projects is an art form in itself. I could literally spend hours just kind of molding and pushing to make it not look so lumpy, but I'm pretty sure the reason why it looks lumpy is because I'm using the kind of grossish lumpy stuffing that I found in a pillow. But that's all I got. I think I filled it up to about here with polyfill, so because it's a little bit less dense and it leaves kind of a flatter appearance, but it's okay. We're gonna work with what we got. We're a woman on a budget. So I'm just going to continue to kind of stuff and mold the pillow. See, she's got a nice shape to her, but she definitely needs some TLC. So I'm going to go ahead and finish stuffing her, and then finish seaming her the rest of the way, just kind of mold to the shape that I want. But I weaved it the exact same way I weaved the bottom. I just used the tail that I had left over on the side panel here. Again, if you did not leave a tail, all you have to do is tie one on and weave it in later. But make sure you stop, you know, a little bit of a ways before the end, just so you can finish stuffing the pillow. Again, when you're weaving the second side panel, you want to make sure the right side is facing up this time, because we are working on the right side of the project. So I'm just going to continue to stuff her and mold her until she's got this shape that I want. Again, it came out a little girthier than expected, but she's still beautiful and cute, and we gotta make her look cuter. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish her up, and I'll be right back with the final result. Okay, she is all done. Her and her beautiful girthy self. Again, it came out a little chunkier than I expected, but honestly, it looks so cute. It's gonna look a little bit better when it's not so close to the camera. She kind of looks like a thumb right now, but it's okay. We still love her. So I'm gonna make sure to get some B-roll after I finish out this video, so you can see her for all her glory. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial and making this pillow with me. It was definitely a labor of love. It took quite a while. Would I do this again? Absolutely, but I would definitely do fewer stitches and make her a little less girthy. Lessons have been learned, because this is my first kind of, I think it's called a bolster pillow instead of a square one. So we'll definitely keep some of the things that we've learned in mind when we go through our next design. What is it going to be next? I don't know. Maybe butterflies. We'll see. But again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, or feel free to DM me on any of my social medias that I will have linked down below. Again, if you have any suggestions or constructive criticism, I am starting to film more tutorials now, and I would love to hear your feedback. Please feel free to leave them down below, but be kind, please. I am a gentle soul. Let's see, anything else? The pattern for this pillow, the free version and chart, will be available on my blog. The paid printable version will be made available in my Etsy shop. I will have the, sorry, that was Jill. She's having ear issues. I will have a link to the chart for the main part of the pillow linked down below as well. Any color changing videos, chart reading, all of those videos will also be linked down below for you guys. And I think that is it. So I'm going to let you guys go, play some B-roll so you can see her for all of her girthy glory. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.